The Everest Summit is the latest in a long line of JBL loudspeakers. The first Everest speaker was launched back in 1985, while JBL's history dates all the way back to 1946, spanning 80 years. This history is rich and they have a lot of speakers. Let's see some of the big ones from JBL.
We're a little startup. We started over 80 years ago, but our history goes back even further than that. Our founder, James B. Lansing, actually his first product was this Jackson Bell radio. This is back to the 1920s. And it was the first time Mr. Lansing ever made a loudspeaker. And you can see his signature is actually on the back of this. You know, this is over 100 years old and still works.
It is?
Yeah. Before Mr. Lansing, there were no talkies. They were all silent movies. And he actually introduced the very first Shearer horn for a cinema. And after that, now you have major motion soundtracks. There wasn't any soundtracks until Mr. Lansing developed the Shearer horn. This is another Lansing product. Later on, he created his own company. JBL is James B. Lansing. It is his initials. And his first product was this compression driver and a horn. So these were some of the very first POP. This is the YouTube of old, was just announcing it like this.
In the 1950s, Arnold Wolf designed the legendary Paragon, which remained in production for nearly 30 years. A speaker that will cost $20,000 in today's money. It looks like a cabinet, but it's actually a massive three-way design. The speaker has a unique history.
And in 1955, because we had such an influence on the movie industry, they were telling us about stereo. So we had to develop the first stereo system for JBL. This is a JBL Paragon.
And this is still nice.
Yes. So what's real important about this one, it's actually what we call a project series speaker. And a project series speaker is the best speaker we've ever built because the company invests money and tells our engineers to make the best product using the best JBL technology, innovation. If you have to invent something new, invent it. And that's how the Paragon became about. Each of these are individual series of products. So this was actually one of the very first impressions of the L100. You can see it's still got the original carve out. So this is the way they used to make speakers in the older days. This was the L26. This was produced in 1973. And you see it in a vertical assortment because back then monitors were used in the recording studio. So that this is like a near field monitor for the recording.
A speaker from the 1970s is a true legend. L100 became so popular that it was released in a retro edition in 2009 and an anniversary edition this year.
And this is one of the originals. It's called the L100 Century. Again, we're taking some of the technology from the previous model, which was in the studio, and we're now applying it for the home. As you know, JBL became acquired by Harman. So, and what better way to play the JBL L300s than by one of the original Harman Kardon citations. So this is when, you know, Mr. Sidney Harman partnered with Bernie Kardon and created the very first Harman Kardon products called the Citation. These all still work.
This construction is quite special.
This is very unique. This takes a lot of power. That's why we wanted to play it on what was originally sold with it, which is the Citation amplifiers.
The tweeter?
This is the tweeter, but behind that is this compression driver. And a compression driver will allow a lot more high frequency. And you got to compete with high frequency. So that had a big bass at that same time to compete with the compression driver too. So this was really the precursor of some of our Summit products over time. So that's called the L300.
These were breaking new tradition in how speakers should look like.
Yes, that's right. Because at one time, we were only buying speakers based on our ears, but they had to, over time, the wife and everyone else said, I can't put that speaker in my home. So we had to start paying attention to what they looked like as well. Back in 1985, we actually launched Everest, and we actually had, it was tuned to the Japanese market. Japan didn't have a lot of big houses at that time. So we created the Mini Everest specifically for the Japan market. And this was produced in 1994.
I hope you want to push the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.